Yo, what is up guys? Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to play Dungeons of Immortal Magic. It is a brand new card game. Came out in 2025 in August. And it's super fun, and I bet you guys have never played anything like it. Here's a starter kit box. This is the beta game. This is what you'll get when you purchase the beta. Pretty standard. Comes with, I think, around 200 cards. So go ahead and get yourself one of these if you want to start playing. And obviously you can also grind the booster packs, get those rare cards, and up your deck a lot. Okay, so first thing to know when playing Dungeons of Immortal Magic is that it relies on a grid system. And what I mean by a grid system is the dungeon is reliant to play the game. So you need this to play the game. It's full of enemies and traps and treasures and stuff like that. It's like a TCG dungeon crawler, basically. So what you're going to do is line out 3x3 or a 4x4 grid of these dungeon cards. Okay, so here I've lined out a 3x3 grid, and this is basically what you'll move through. Now the objective of the game is to get a character card, which there are many types: specials, commanders, royals, soldiers, and things like that. But the goal of the game is to get one of your character cards from your deployment zone, which is usually back here, sorry for the camera, and move them through the dungeon all the way to your enemy's deployment zone, which would be beyond the dungeon over here. It is a deck building game. You can have any number of cards in your deck that's not restricted. The only competitive restrictions are that you can't have duplicated cards in play at once. So when you get a character card all the way across, it becomes a champion, and that's 1 point towards winning. So you guys can play to 1, 2, 3, however many you want. Just kind of up to how long you want to play for. Characters can move once per turn. Deploying the character counts as one movement, so you obviously have to wait one more turn to move them. The cost of every card is right here, that little red number in the bottom left, and that's just how many purple gemstones they cost to play. So those will come in your starter kit. That is like the currency in the game. Some cards cost more, some cards cost less. Depends on how powerful and useful they are. Okay, so as you move characters through the dungeon, you will reveal cards each time you move. So if I move Morvor from here to here, what I'm going to do is reveal this dungeon card. Now, in this case, I got a fake card, so I will lose all of my gems. Now, this is just one of many things that happens. Just remember that the bold text is the effect that the card has. And this slanted smaller lettering is just some lore to the storyline and a little extra note, some, little style for the cards. So obviously through the dungeon you can face many things like enemies, bosses, traps, fate rolls, items, all sorts of things. Okay, so there's really 3 groups of cards to explain here. I have them down there, but I'm going to explain characters first. Characters come in 5 classes: legendaries, royals, soldiers, commanders, and specials. It's like a ranking system. It usually goes something like this: royal, commander, special, royal. It's kind of how good they are, and obviously soldiers usually cost nothing because they're not typically very good, and royals cost a lot because they're a lot better. Legendary cards are extremely rare to get, and they usually have a similar power to royal. Sometimes they're overpowered. On character cards, obviously this is the cost. The blue shield on the bottom is for defense, what is added to their defense roll. Same goes for the red number, except that's attack. So attack rolls, the 4 would be added to attack roll, the other blue 4 would be added to defense roll. The W means this character is a warrior. You can either be a warrior or a mage. Those are the 2 classes in the game currently. This is the amount of dice the character rolls, so any battle situation they will roll 4 for attack and defense, and then the red and blue numbers will be added. So yeah, they will roll 4 base dice, and then they will add the attack and defense depending on what they're doing. Obviously royal, that's the class of the card. This is the name of the card, and then this little word right there is just the kingdom or territory that this card comes from, and that can be relevant depending on what certain cards have bonuses and minuses too. So those are character cards. Now with your character cards, you can equip them with armor, weapons, and items. Here's an armor card, obviously it adds to defense. And if you're wondering the difference in the colors, the blue just means this is a human card, the green just means this is an orc card. Those are the 2 main card races in the game. You can mix these. They don't have too much of a significance, just shows the origin of the card, and sometimes orcs will go better with orcs and humans will go better with humans. So yes, you can equip armor to your characters to add to their defense. Obviously there's the cost, and this 2 magenta shield right there, the little magenta shield with the 2 on it, that just means that this armor requires 2 spaces. Think of it like weight or the amount of space the armor takes up on your character. So each character has a max of 3, so this takes up 2. So you could have 3 1-space armors, or a 2-space armor and a 1-space armor, or a 1 3-spaces armor. Just think about it like that. Pretty simple math. And next, obviously, we have items. The bold lettering tells what the item does. Each character can have a max of 2 items equipped. Obviously, if it's equipment, it'll tell you if it's equipment. Any equipment card is just equipped to a character. So it's pretty standard. And then you have weapon cards. These add to your attack, pretty similar to armor except reversed. And then they have hand numbers. Each character has 2 hands, unless specified on the card that it has more or less. And you will just do the simple math there. So obviously this bow requires both hands, so you won't be able to equip more weapons after you equip this bow. Now, finally, the final set of cards is going to be arms cards and spell cards. Now, all of these can be deployable, nothing, or instant. Nothing means you do specifically what the bold lettering tells you to do. If it doesn't say to deploy or anything like that, once the effect is over, you either discard it or keep doing what the bold text says. If it says deployable, the card will go in your deployment zone, and that's the area before the dungeon grid, kind of like your section on the table. Okay, so that's what a deployable card will do. Right there, arms cards can only be played by warriors with the W, and then spell cards can only be played by mages. So spell, mage with the M. And basically what that means is you just need one of those characters in play. So you need a mage to play a spell, and you would need a warrior to play an arms card. And the effect is written on the card. These are very useful for pre-strategy, just making yourself more prepared in the dungeon. Okay, so for setup, basically each player is going to have their pre-made deck, or just a deck from a starter kit. It usually works, whatever you want. So pre-made deck, and then you're going to start with 5 gemstones. Okay, this is how you're going to pay for cards. Now, before you start, obviously the players will roll to go first. Highest roll goes first, but to start, each player will draw 7 cards. That goes into your hand. These are the cards you use in your hand. So this is what I got in my hand. Not a very good hand. Now, if I don't like my hand to start, I can reshuffle my deck and draw a new hand 1 time at the start. So it's just 1 time. No more than that. Oops. Okay, so shuffle deck, draw a new 7. Now, let's say I go first. On my first turn is my deployment phase. So that is when I will deploy character cards, play deployable cards, or I will equip them with armor, weapons, and items, stuff like that. So for my deployment phase, I'm going to play this guy for 3. I'm going to put him right there. Think of this space like an imaginary grid. It costs 3. I spend 3. Now, this character, let's say I wait to my next turn. I don't equip him with anything. It comes back around. Now I'm going to move him into the dungeon. Now, remember, after your deployment phase, which is where you deploy characters and equip them with armor, weapons, items, and stuff like that, then it is your movement phase. Understand that in the movement phase, the only cards that can be played out of your hand or anywhere are only cards that say instant in the middle tab. If they don't say instant in the middle tab, they must be played during the deployment phase, and they can't be played during the movement phase. Okay, pretty simple. So let's say I wanted to move this character. I'm going to reveal the dungeon room. It's like opening the door. I got a level 2 enemy, as you can see here. Rolls 2 dice. And I roll 3 dice. So just remember this, that whenever you engage battle with the dungeon enemy will always attack first no matter what, unless your card or a different card specifies otherwise. So I'm going to roll 2 dice for the dungeon enemy. This is for attack. He rolls a 9, as you can see there, a 9. And then we will add the red 4 to his attack roll. So 9 plus 4 is 13. Now, my character has to defend against 13. Now, if you see here, I have 2 defense via the blue bottom number. That means his 13 goes to an 11. So I roll 3 dice, so I have to roll at least an 11 or higher to defend and not die. Okay. I got exactly an 11. Pretty lucky. So I'm still alive. So now that I defended his attack, it switches over, and now it is this character's attack against the cavern crawler. So I'm going to roll my attack. Okay, really high. I got a 17 plus my red number. So 17 plus 2, 19. So now the goo monster has to, aka the cavern crawler, has to defend against 19. It rolls 2 dice. However, it doesn't have any defense. So with 2 dice, the highest roll is 12. No extra defense, so it's just 12. And it won't be able to get 19. So this character, dungeon enemy, is going to be defeated. So what happens is it gets discarded into the dungeon graveyard, which is next to the dungeon deck. And I will gain 2 gems for its defeat. So it goes over here. Let's just say your dungeon deck was over here or something. It gets discarded, and I will gain 2 gems. Goes in my pot. I will move into that space. And then if I want to do anything else, I could, but technically that round would be over. And I would pass it to my opponents. Okay, so I've laid out an opponent versus opponent scenario here, player versus player, and this is where the game gets really interesting. So we have 2 characters head to head in the dungeon right now, and one of them, depending on whose turn it is and who's going to move into the room and attack the other, is going to attack the other. So basically, let's say it is Zagosh the Lightning Assassin's turn, and he's going to move into Zerged's, the Warlock's room. So he is going to attack him. Basically what happens with opponents, it's different. Dungeon enemies always attack first. With opponents, whoever moves into the room attacks first. So Zagosh will attack him first. I'll just flip this over so you can see. So Zagosh has 4 dice. He gets +3 attack, and he also has an axe equipped. So he gets +4. So +4 +3, that's 7. So 7 on top of his 4 dice roll. So he's going to go ahead and roll for attack. Just got to get... Okay. He rolls a 7, and then obviously that was only 3 dice. I got to roll 1 more. 7 + 5. That is going to be 12. So he rolls a 12 + 7. So 12 + 7 is 19. And then Zagosh, whoever the opponent is controlling Zagosh, decides to play this instant spell. It is an electric spell, as seen by there, right there. And Zagosh, electric spells cast by Zagosh cost -1. That just means that the gem number right there is 1 less. So Zagosh will spend 3 to play this spell instead of 4. And what the spell does is it adds 6 electric damage to your attack roll. So his his 19 now turns into a 25. And then additionally, all opponents' cards in the same row or column as the target permanently lose 3 defense. So there are no other cards in the same row or column, so they won't lose 3 permanent defense. This is a really good card. But he is going to have a total of 25. Now, Zerged the Warlock has to defend that. He has a 2, 3, he has 5 defense total. So 25 minus 5 is 20. He has to roll a 20. With 3 dice, his highest roll is 18. He won't be able to do it. However, Zerged the Warlock, whichever player was controlling him, was prepared. So Zerged the Warlock is going to play Static Vex, -2 attack to an opponent's attack roll. It's an electric spell. Boom, baby. So that 20 drops down to 18, so Zerged still has a chance. And again, these are being played in battle because they are instant cards. Okay, so he's going to roll. And he rolls pretty good, but not enough. So Zerged the Warlock is defeated. Okay, now this is what happens. The opponent doesn't gain any gems for the defeat. However, the opponent does gain a soul counter, just like that. And since Zerged had defeated this cavern crawler earlier, he already had a soul counter with him, so he gains 2 soul counters. Okay, now remember, I forgot to mention this earlier, but Zerged also has a soul counter from the goo monster defeat, so he has to roll a 17. Okay. And obviously he didn't roll a 17, but he did. I forgot to mention that. So yes, so Zagosh defeats Lightning Assassin. He gets discarded. Zagosh gains 2 of those. and would move forward. Okay, so since Zerga defeats him, obviously he would get the gems, but before I forget to mention this, he also gains a soul counter. And what soul counters do is they just add +1 attack and defense to the character each time they kill someone. So every time you kill someone, you get a soul counter, and it gives you +1 attack and defense.
Just think of soul counters like XP. Thank you guys so much for watching. This will teach you the basics of Dungeons of Immortal Magic, the beta edition. And make sure you're just having fun and getting creative with it, because that's what it's all about.